Well, hey, Randy, I really appreciate you taking the time to get together today. It's good to see you.
You bet, man. No problem.
We were talking at our life group meeting last Sunday night that your girls were involved with some music stuff. What's been going on there?
I've been playing a lot of piano, as you know, and we've had a lot of competitions. Just got done with state, and Autumn did really well. I was really proud of her, and she ended up getting honorable mention.
Okay,
so that was good. Hope ended up getting honorable mention as well, and then the other two placed. So a lot of piano going on in the home, and I get woke up every morning at 5 straight up to...
Well, how does that work? Because you guys got like what? Well, 4 girls, and they all have to practice an hour or hour and a half a day?
No, they're practicing at least two hours, sometimes 2.5. Autumn, where she's playing right now, she's playing about 2.5 hours of piano a day if she's doing what she's supposed to. So
no way.
Yeah, it's
so like 10 hours straight of piano music.
Pretty much, but we have 2 pianos, so
that's good.
And that way we're able to get 2 knocked out in the morning and 2 in the afternoon.
So kind of like dueling pianos.
Pretty much, yes. I like it better than dueling banjos.
That's really funny. That's really funny. So what are your guys' plan for the holidays?
We're staying home.
Okay.
I think the fam's going to come over. Mom, Dad are going to show up. We have a tradition in our home, and we meet every Christmas Eve.
Okay.
And we do our Christmas then. And my older brother, 2 older brothers will be there. My youngest brother, he lives out in Virginia, so he's not going to show up, which is fine. We'll all call him and tell him we're having a great time, and sure wish he was here.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's fun. We're going to be hanging out here as well. But the fun thing is, Delyn's mom's flying out. She's going to get here on the, I think the 14th. And then the fun thing is, we were unsure, but Delyn's sister and brother, and then a little boy that they've kind of adopted. He's actually like a great nephew, but they're taking him in as kind of a son and thinking about even adopting him like formally. And so they're going to be here too. So we'll have a packed house as well.
Yeah, you will. Wow.
So it'll be a lot of fun.
Is your family going to come in, or?
No, my mom and dad, they were here before Thanksgiving, and so they're just, it's just the Delyn side of the family.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Nice.
So you were talking about Autumn a few minutes ago, so she's 17, doing the homeschool thing, but does she have aspirations for college?
She does. We're actually... We've been talking to her about it. She needs to take the ACT. Okay. And so we're preparing for that.
Yeah, Christopher just signed up too.
Really?
So he's at the junior level, of course. But.
Yep. And Autumn is too. They're in the same grade, aren't they? Yeah, they are, both juniors. So I think she's thinking, she wants to go to the University of Florida. No way. It's not going to happen. I shouldn't say no way, but you know what I'm talking about.
Well, why not? I mean, you guys are big Gator fans.
Oh, yeah. Well, out-of-state tuition and high-dollar stuff, so I don't know. But we actually have been thinking maybe School of the Ozarks, College of the Ozarks.
Okay, right.
And looking at a campus where they work and pays their tuition and whatnot. Right. With her piano, though, her teacher really believes that she could probably get
scholarship.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be a blessing. So obviously with both of us having high school kids, thinking about the future and everything, what kind of feelings do you have about sending your daughter off to college, even if it's just just down the road at the College of Ozarks? Yeah,
I think there's a lot that goes through my head. Is she prepared, to go? I feel like we've grounded her in her faith, and we've done what we can. So you always are hoping that she can meet up with a good core of friends, and that they have the same likes, same interest, and same passion for God.
Sure.
Because truly we are concerned, she get out and make good decisions, and that she finds what it is that she wants to do in life, and she follows it with a passion. And of course, just having her away, I can't help but just wonder, what she's going to be doing. And,
sure.
So it
would you say there's like a level of anxiety about that? I mean, anxiousness? I mean, concern?
I'm not as bad as her mother, but if I think as dads, we don't probably show it as much, but, I can get away and I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to be kind of concerned about her just a little bit. And it will be different, because we had a transition from 4 to 3, which shouldn't be huge, but just not having her there, she's somebody that is a huge help to her mom and I.
Right.
So.
When you guys had obviously in a very positive Christian environment. I mean, you guys have homeschooled as well, so you got that going for you. You know, College of Ozarks, University of Florida, or someplace in between, obviously are, you know, non-Christian environments and stuff like that. Any, you know, what are your thoughts about sending her off into that kind of world?
Yeah, that is something that, you know, I think for me it's just one of those things where I'm like, wow. I mean, I don't know how kids do it, because I know in high school I've talked to people all the time, even you, with, you know, Christopher and Nicholas, and just the pressures and the things that they experience, and yet we still have them kind of under our roof.
Yeah.
And so we can listen to them, but you know, you have them, you know, hundreds of miles away from home, and you know, that go off. I mean,
I hear you. I hear you.
It just, as a matter of fact, just not too long ago, I was talking to this kid, and he graduated from college. He graduated from a local college, and was a preacher's kid. Okay. And his philosophy was interesting. He didn't go to church anymore. He said he doesn't see the need for the local body, and so he still, you know, believes that Christ is the only way, but he's just, you know, kind of you know, looks at it as there's a lot of different philosophies and approaches, and he's not just sure that there's any one right way. And I'm sitting there going, holy cow, and this happened locally, and so you just worry for, you know, I know this kid was grounded because his dad was a pastor, and so yeah, and so put him in a public system university. You want to make sure that there's going to be a constant conversation or communication with them as best as you can.
Well, you know, that hope, you know, for a lot of Christian parents is one of the very reasons why Chi Alpha exists. You know, we've been involved with campus ministry. You know, I shared at our life group not so long ago that we've been involved for the better part of 20 years, and we were local campus missionaries, you know, out in Montana, and working with a lot of girls and young, you know, people like our son Christopher and your daughter, you know, on a regular basis. And a lot of parents out there that are concerned about those kinds of things. You know, the secular environment. You know, you see Old School on TV, or go roll the camera back to Animal House, and you know, you can understand why parents might, you know, be concerned about the alcohol issues, the you know, the kind of the wanton sexuality, but more than that, really, like you were talking about with your friend, kind of just the worldviews.
Yes.
They get compromised. Because they get exposed to some other things, and if they're not really grounded in their faith, and I think really relationally grounded in their faith with Jesus, more than, you know, their theology, what they know or don't know, you know, in terms of, you know, the Bible, although that is core. If they don't know Jesus in a personal way, then it's just all, you know, Jesus said the Spirit gives life, but the Word kills. So we want them to have a spiritual experience.
Absolutely.
And you know, I know from my point of view, thinking about Christopher, and I'm sure, like you said with Autumn, if there could be a spiritual family, like you were talking about the body, you know, where they could stay connected and committed in their relationship with Christ, and not only just survive, but really thrive during their college years, I've got to believe that would be pretty encouraging for you.
Absolutely.
And that's really what Chi Alpha is all about, you know, in the local campus setting. You know, we're there so that students can come to faith in Christ, number one. Number two, they can be involved in a steady discipling ministry where they grow in their personal relationship with Christ. And then really when they're 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 years or up, whatever the case may be, where they can really be sent out as world changers, you know, in the marketplace. You know, if Autumn was to pursue a career with music, maybe teaching, or I don't know, maybe in the church world, or maybe, you know, I don't know, in a band or something like that, or whatever, you know, her desires and vision are for the future that might include music, for instance. You know, just to see that I'm being sent out by God to make a difference in my world. Yeah. And, you know, it reminds me of a story of a kid that we got to work with named Tim when we were out in Montana as local missionaries. Tim was a kid that came back, I mean, had a Christian background. He was actively involved in a church, actually a pastor's kid, kind of like you and me. Yeah. And yet when he went to school, man, he just went off the deep end. I mean, started chasing girls, drinking all the time. I mean, he was even growing pot. in his basement apartment. I mean, pretty wild stuff,
Yeah.
And it wasn't because he was a horrible guy, but he was just searching, and I don't know, I don't think that the whole relationship with Christ had ever kicked in with Tim in a deep, meaningful kind of way prior to his college years.
Yeah.
But he and I cross-sected paths a couple different times. There were some mutual friends of his that were involved in our Chi Alpha ministry on the local campus there. And I think, he had it in his background.
Mm-hmm.
But the more that he was exposed to kind of the real life, the genuine relationship that Chi Alpha really encourages in a personal walk with Jesus, man, he just... I just think that something went on, and a light went on inside of him, so to speak. So he came to our first large group meeting. I'll never forget it. It was Halloween, my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
I dressed up like a ghost. I was working in a restaurant, while I was raising our budget, but we were also working in a restaurant to kind of help ends meet, and we had to dress up. So I dressed up like a ghost. I painted myself completely in white, and then I thought, wouldn't it be fun to go on campus that night? It was our main large group meeting on campus. It basically kind of the church service that Chi Alpha sponsors on the local campus, for students. And I went, and I thought it'd be fun. So I led worship and I preached as basically Casper the Friendly
As the
Ghost.
Holy Ghost.
It might have been. I don't know.
Curtis.
It was pretty funny, but it left an indelible mark on Tim Kern.
Yeah.
And it was like, he just, I don't know, he saw something new, maybe something fresh. I think it was really the whole experience of the Christian community that Chi Alpha builds on campus. And he said, that's where I need to be.
Yeah.
So Tim got plugged in. He started attending our Tuesday night worship meetings on a regular basis. He got involved in a life group, basically, for a men's only small group, for accountability purposes and just growth in his relationship with Jesus. And then on top of that, I started attending, our retreats, our seasonal retreats and stuff, and it was at one of those retreats that he just really drew a line in the sand and said, I'm going for Jesus.
That's awesome.
And gave his heart to the Lord. And, I put together this little album. I'd like to kind of it kind of highlights almost exactly what we've been talking about, really, in our conversation so far. And my hope in kind of walking through this a little bit too, Randy, is just to kind of give you a picture of kind of the bullet points of why Chi Alpha.
Okay.
And why we as missionaries, feel called to campus ministry in particular. But like we talked about, it's a crucial time of life. Students are making decisions about who they are and where they're headed, and they need to hear the gospel. Obviously, our kids know the gospel, but guys like Tim need to hear the gospel in relational context. People like Ching, need to hear for the very first time that there's a God that loves her. Yeah. And there's lots of students out there like that on a regular basis. And so we want to, as Christian parents, we want to protect our youth for sure. We want to be there and make sure that, like I said, not only do they survive and in terms of walking out their relationship with Christ, but that they really thrive. And the reality is, and it's a scary thing sometimes, but the reality is the statistics tell us that 4 out of 5 incoming freshmen walk away from a personal relationship with Jesus after 4 years of higher education. Nice. But I think it's in some ways maybe the church, maybe us as parents, we haven't done the kind of service that we need to for our kids. But I think they're an investment that's worth protecting.
Absolutely.
And so Chi Alpha's there. It's there for Autumn, there for Christopher, there for Tim, there for Ching, in particular. And that's the cool thing about your story. And I was really excited when you guys agreed to join the host family program at MSU, because I knew that maybe there's a possibility that Ching or whatever student that you connected with you'd get to invite her to church and talk about your family values and stuff. And that's another major reason for Chi Alpha, is we want to reach out to the 700,000 international students that are studying on campuses in America today. Yeah. Because just like American students here, hopefully your daughter, my son, they're going to go on to be leaders in the community. They're going to be hopefully godly moms and dads and husbands and wives, as the Lord sees fit. But the same is true with the international student. And the amazing thing about them is it's really the cream of the crop internationally that come here. Ching, probably comes from a pretty affluent family in China. And she's going to probably go home and really have a very influential career, because the American education is so highly valued. Really, the world is sending their best and brightest to America to study. Yeah. And so it's an awesome opportunity. And I know that, growing up in the Baptist church, you guys have a heart for missions, and then, being involved with the Assembly Church here. in our hometown, you guys understand the value of missions, but there's a ton of money that's invested and time and energy in terms of sending an American individual or couple overseas. But these guys, they've got their visa, they know the language, they know the custom, they don't have to do cross-cultural ministry. If Ching can go home, think about the impact she can be on her family and friends.
Absolutely.
So to me, that's a huge caveat for why Chi Alpha. And that's why God called Delyn and I to get involved in campus ministry, like I said, 20 years ago. And we continue to want to invite friends like yourselves to prayerfully consider being a part of our support team. Jump on in with us and whether it's through prayer or finances, as the case may be. Because as missionaries, we have to raise 100% of our budget. Mm-hmm. And we are associated with the Assemblies of God, which is a great organization, has a great heart for missions. But they're not sitting on boatloads of money. Yeah. And they're not a denomination in the sense like, well, people give a lot of money to the church and then they pay missionaries to go out. No, the Assemblies of God just kind of gives us a platform by visiting churches and a stamp of approval as a nationally appointed missionary to go. But then it's our responsibility with their endorsement to go forward and to pull together a support team, people that pray and people who will give financially. Yeah. And although we've been involved in campus ministry for a lot of years, we have a budget that we have to maintain. There's a certain level of attrition, but there's also new things that we want to do in campus ministry. In my role here in Springfield, as I work as a part of the national office, I need to be very effective in recruiting new missionaries. I need to be very effective in training those missionaries and then placing them strategically. And that also takes financial commitment. So the money that I get to raise, I get to infuse into that process as well. Not only taking care of my own, the needs of our family, paying the bills, taking care of our future retirement, and insurance and all the things that you got to do to have a family. But then also to invest in the in actual ministry experiences as well. So that's really big for us. And I'm excited about the Assemblies of God affirming Chi Alpha. Some people say, Chi Alpha, well, what's that? Well, we're just trying to connect with the Greek environment on campus. And a lot of people think, well, fraternities. Yeah. But there's also a lot of academic organizations and other groups on campus that have Greek ties. And Chi Alpha just basically stands for Christ's ambassadors. We want to go on to the local campus and be Christ's ambassadors and really stand with them, stand with leaders and then to share our faith as much as possible. Yeah. I've been talking a lot here in the last couple of minutes. Obviously, there's some real connections between your story and what we're doing. But any questions about anything that I've said so far that might be where you might want some clarity on either one, the Assemblies of God or Chi Alpha, or two, kind of our role and responsibility with it?
Do you guys meet weekly, monthly, and do you keep everybody kind of, do you do activities? Mm-hmm. Do they have to all go kind of the same church? Do they attend Assembly of God? I mean, obviously you're going to have non-believers walking in, but are you trying to associate with a church locally there in that town?
Well, kind of all of the above. Okay. The first question is we're really kind of like a church on campus. Okay. Everything is provided on campus. If you walk into a student union building, you can eat there. You can do, if you're in a dorm, you can do your laundry there. If you want to go bowling, you want to watch a movie, you don't ever have to leave the college campus. Yeah. So it makes sense in terms of reaching out to that culture that we would provide Christian fellowship on the campus. Okay. So we have a large group gathering. It's worship driven, preaching the word, proclamation. We have small group Bible studies, that students can be involved in on a weekly basis. We have retreats like where Tim gave his heart to Christ. So all of those kinds of things. And then we encourage students to plug into a local church. Okay. The cool thing about the Assemblies of God is, of course, we'd love to see kids and students, check out the local Assembly of God church, but we have students from all different backgrounds. Yeah. And a lot of them who don't even know Jesus at all. So maybe they might find a Baptist or Presbyterian, church more to their liking. But a lot of times, honestly, we do see students who are involved in the ministry check out the church where the campus missionary is attending. Yeah. And that's happened with us in Montana when we were leading the local groups. Yeah, a lot of times they followed us to church. Sure. Yeah. So Yeah, that's a really good question, and we're not trying to build the assemblies of God so much as, although we appreciate the assemblies of God, we're really trying to build the kingdom of God.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Ultimately, you probably heard statements like that. But that's a really good question.
Thanks.
And I appreciate that for sure.
Yeah.
Ultimately, our ministry is about changing lives, and lives of Tim, lives of Ching, and others like that. We want to see. And I talked about Tim's story. The fun thing about Tim is he almost has become a poster child for Chi Alpha.
Yeah.
The reality is he was an art major. He was going to go on and be an art teacher. But when he got involved with Chi Alpha, the more he spent time with Chi Alpha, the more he said he felt like God was redirecting the calling on his life.
Mm-hmm.
And so he ended up choosing Chi Alpha as a career.
Amen.
He married a girl he met during his college years who didn't know Jesus. She came to Christ through Chi Alpha. They became small group leaders. They after graduation came on staff.
Wow.
And then after a few years, they felt the call of God to go pioneer Chi Alpha at another university in our state. And they're still there, making a difference in the lives of students. And really their story is being rewritten on the hearts and lives of tons of other people out there. Yeah, I mean, it's a little braggadocious or whatever. I don't know. I don't want you to feel that way. But I mean, those are the kind of results we're shooting for. That students meet Christ, they get their life reoriented correctly, they hear God's voice, and they follow Him. Tim followed him into campus ministry. Where will Ching? Where will your daughter? Or my son follow. I don't know where God's going to lead them, but we want to set them up for success.
Absolutely.
And we believe those college years are so crucial. I've mentioned a couple different times support. You knew by the phone call and the letter that I sent you that I wanted to sit down and talk specifically about our financial situation.
Yeah.
We need an extra $1,000 a month to round out our budget for our personal and our work needs.
Okay.
Like I said, as we're training up more missionaries like Tim and Melissa, we're not leading a local group anymore, but we're training up more missionaries like Tim and Melissa to go out. We're really excited about the 300 ministries Chi Alpha has nationwide, but we'd like to see that number doubled. So my job is to, like I said, is to recruit, train, and release new missionaries into the field. And in order to do that, the figure that the national office has given me to raise, the Assemblies of God in Chi Alpha, is an additional 1,000.
Okay.
And if you guys were to consider joining our support team, we'd be definitely committed to doing a couple things. We want to pray for you.
Mm-hmm.
We want to be faithful to communicate with you, not only in person, but like with newsletters and email updates and stuff. And then finally, we want to promise we're going to work hard and make a difference. So, thinking basically about the 4 stories we've talked about, our kids, Ching and Tim, and the desire to see their lives and lives like theirs continually transformed. And Lynn and I are wondering if you guys, you and Mel, would be willing to consider, again, helping us with that $1,000 issue, and the budget that we need by being willing to make a commitment, say, of $50, $75, or maybe $100 a month.
Yeah.
To see the lives change and to see folks sent out as world changers. What would you think about a financial number like that? Yeah,
we because you did call, and so obviously when that kind of call comes in, it's time to go before the Lord and just put it before Him and ask Him to just lay on our hearts. How do we support Curtis and Dylan and what they're doing? And we really feel like God has given us the green light to do that. Right. And we feel at this time right now with where we're at and everything that we can do, we can afford to do $50 a month. We want to pledge that to you all, and just go ahead and monthly, however we set that up. I don't know if there's something I fill out or do, but we definitely feel like the Lord's laid that figure on our heart. Cool. We both are in agreement with it, and I can't think of anything that I would want to support knowing I've got one getting ready to go off to college. And I just, I absolutely see the need for what Chi Alpha does. And my child, all 4 of my girls at some point, I don't know where God's going to send them, but it absolutely could send them to a public campus. And I want to know that there's something who I have a close friend that is spearheading that, you know, there's this certainty, I guess, that they're going to be able to plug into something that I feel very confident that they're going to hear about God. They're going to be encouraged to increase their walk because it's a vulnerable time, probably the most vulnerable time, because they're at home with me and then they're going to get married. Then there's this in-between time that, you know, they got to plug in somewhere, and I may not be there, so I would love to know that there's something there. So yeah, absolutely, we want to support you guys. Well,
first off, let me just say thank you. And it's cool that you get it on multiple levels. But and I'll tell you what, $50 is a significant contribution, so we really appreciate that.
You bet.
The Assemblies of God calls it a faith promise.
Okay.
And that means that as God enables you to give, that you would send in. It's not like we're going to be dinging you on a monthly basis, but of course your monthly support is very important. And so you understand, you know, you could give, you know, on a monthly, you know, write a check or do a credit card deal if you wanted to. Deal, that's what's the word?
The debit.
The debit, yeah. Or a credit card authorization if you wanted to.
Okay.
Or you could do like a one-time, you know, gift, you know, and combine, say, what is that, $600 all at once. What would be the best way for you guys to give, would you think?
You know, it seems like that to have that monthly withdrawal works best for us because I know it's going to happen, and it's just kind of an automatic. I don't have to remember to do it.
Sure.
It's just easier. I've got a lot of bills that are paid that way, and that's probably more consistent with how we do things. So.
Okay. Well, I've got the paperwork to do that, and there's two things that I would need you to do. One is to fill out the faith promise form, because I send that back to the national headquarters for the Assemblies of God so that they know that you guys are in partnership with us, because they're looking out for me. They don't want me to go out there without adequate support and a commitment base of support. So if we could fill that out, it'd be great. And then additionally, there's just some information that we would need to glean. And would it be okay for you guys to start like this month, or or like on the form here, for instance? Excuse me. You can kick it in with the withdrawal. You know, starting in January. What do you guys think would be best? December or January?
We're ready to start, Curtis. So December is fine.
Well, we can just take a second and fill this out. That'd be great. And we'll do that.
All right.
Well, cool, Randy. Thanks for taking the time to fill that out. It's kind of perfunctory, but it really makes a difference, and you know, it puts us one step closer to getting to that 100% of our budget and getting on the field and being able to do all that much more what God's called us to do.
You bet.
You know, when we raise the remainder, $950 of this work, then we're going to be released. I'm actually on a sabbatical right now, raising my budget, and I can't get back to the field, so to speak. I can't get back to do what I'm doing with Chi Alpha until I raise the other 950. And so I was wondering, you know, as we've been talking, we've been telling stories and stuff, can you think of maybe one individual that might be someone who you know that would be open to a presentation like the one that I just made, that might have a heart for maybe campus ministry that I could use as a referral? And what I mean by that is that I would well, what I would do is I would call them and or send them a letter and follow up with a phone call just like I did with you. But I would reference you and say, hey, I visited with Randy, and he said that this might be something you might be interested in participating in as well, or hearing more about.
Yeah.
Would you be comfortable with you know, referring somebody like that to me?
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a person that comes to my mind, actually, used to be my former boss.
Really? Okay.
He has a son right now on the campus at Tulsa.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys have Chi Alpha out there or not, but his name's Greg Horton.
Okay, Greg Horton.
And he actually would be somebody that I think would be open to listening to that, and he's got a heart for ministry.
Cool.
And
do you have his information like in your iPhone or something? Can
absolutely.
You just maybe email it or text it to me?
Absolutely.
And I just promised that I would handle all the communications with Greg just like I handled them with you.
Yeah.
And you know, it's not a vacuum cleaner sales kind of deal or something, you know, or I'm going to rope him into something.
Yeah.
But it would just be the same kind of conversation and whatnot. But if he had a heart for it, that'd be awesome.
You bet.
I appreciate that. Hey, I know you got to go, and I appreciate you taking the time. About a half hour or so with me has been awesome. But is there any possibility that we could just close in prayer? Anything on your heart right now that the Lord would have for you?
Yeah, just that God will continue to show His direction to me and to our family. We're kind of in a transitional period.
Okay.
Just, what's next?
Yeah.
He has me where I am currently, just to be still.
Mm-hmm.
And you know me, that's kind of hard to do. So, but He's working on me. So, yeah, that would be awesome.
Okay, cool. Well, let's just pray.
You bet.
God, I just thank you for the opportunity to connect with the Rogers. Thank you for their heart. Thanks for their partnership with us. God, it's such a blessing to know that not only are they standing with us as friends, but Lord, they see the ministry that you've called us to as a vital one, and I appreciate their commitment to $50 a month. Lord, it makes a huge difference. Lord, I do pray for Autumn and all of the girls. I pray for Mel in the season of transition in particular. God, you know the future for the Rogers family. And God, I just pray that you just continue to lead and guide them every step of the way. And I pray the peace of God that passes all understanding will continue to minister to their heart and soul. Mm-hmm. Lord, again, I just want to say thank you very, very much for the Rogers, and thank you for their financial partnership with us. Lord, it is so cool to know that we have the prayer and financial support of friends like Mel and Randy who really believe in this call to campus ministry. Lord, we pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.